So the second job that we did was to bolster up the security, and you know, security always worries me. There just seems to be more motorhomes and camper vans being taken, which I find quite distressing looking at something, because it must be heartbreaking when it happens, either whether it's been broken into or been stolen and that. And you know, problem with security, it's never 100%. You've just got to make a decision to what levels you've got. There's all sorts of things out there, from wheel clamps, steering locks, clutch locks, bear locks for the gear stick positioning. There's then immobilizers and trackers and etc, etc, etc. There's all sorts of things out there, and we've got a variety of those things. But I felt as though, well, I wanted to secure the two sliding doors and the rear barn doors more. The driver's and the passenger door had already been done. Auto Campers did that as part of their fit out. They replaced the forward locks with a more secure lock, because the forward lock had got an inherent weakness, so they bolstered that up anyway, and therefore the two sliding doors and the rear barn doors was just part of the central locking. And the problem is, you often see pictures around, you know, drilling into locks, or especially on panel vans where they've actually peeled the door to get into it, which is quite a distressing thing when you see metal just being bent like that. And one of the things we found out as part of this process, which I didn't realise, is that obviously we've got glass on our doors, like a lot of camper vans have, and apparently it's a bit stronger and actually prevents peeling, because obviously it's got an inherent strength to it. That doesn't stop it being peeled from underneath. So anyway, we've decided to go and put some extra additional locks on the doors. And there's there's various locks out there. There's dead locks, which is purely a slot lock basically, or claw lock, which gives it again a bit extra. So we wanted to go for the claw lock. So I started to look around, and I actually came across one of the channels that we follow, which is Wizard in the Wild, and they've got a motorhome, and they'd actually installed claw locks on their doors. So there's nothing like better than a recommendation of a company, because you never quite know who you're dealing with. So I thought, well, if it was okay for them, it's highly likely to be okay with us. It was a company called AVR Mobiles, so I got in touch with them. Really nice. It's a small family run business, which I always love. You know, I think the UK got a lot of innovation, and people who are prepared to set up companies like that, I think are brilliant. So we got in touch with them. We'd exchanged several mails about what I was trying to do, got quotes off them, and I don't fully understand all the locking mechanism, but as part of that dialogue, it became apparent that one of the challenges I got is that on the two sliding doors is that the glass goes right to the edge and almost to the top, giving no space to get a lock, because I always thought I'd have the lock on the top of the door. So the alternative is actually to have the lock low down. So that's what we decided to do. And because there's the central locking that's already there, plus hinges and all of that, so it can only go in a certain place anyway. And actually, one of the things, we've had to turn the lock upside down, which apparently is a common thing on transit that you might need to do when you've got glass on the upper part of it. So that's not a problem. It just means it hooks from, it turns that way rather than that way, so that's not an issue. So we'd booked to have that done. The engineer came out and fitted the two sliding doors, and then realised that I'd made a mistake and I hadn't actually shared with AVR Mobile, so this is purely my fault, not theirs, is that the fact that the barn doors, again's got glass in. They didn't realise there was glass in there, and again the hook lock couldn't be high up, it had to be lower down. Again, and the size of the barrel would therefore change because of the thickness of door lower down. So the components they got basically wouldn't fit. Not an issue. Again, it's like all these things. It's what happens next. It wasn't an issue. They just rearranged, no extra costs. Came back a few days later and fitted the barn door with a hook lock on there. And the two engineers that came out were really good. They showed us, the lock's very clean, very tidy. I must admit, when anybody's drilling into metal, especially Harry, I have to look away. It's a bit horrified when somebody's doing that, but they know what they're doing. You have to put your trust in them, and they did a great job.
God, that's quite a stressful sight, seeing you drill into the van. Oh, baby. You call it stressful.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm the one who's supposed to
Yeah,
be
that's
stressed.
true.
Sealed it all, cleaned it all up, and we ended up with 3 locks. Gave us 3 keys. It's all the same key. So Jane will have a key, I'll have a key, and obviously we'll store a key somewhere safe just in case we have to cut one. So we're really happy. And I think the key thing for us, and I always say this, is that I think there's 3 levels of security when you do these things, and I think I've ticked all of those. I think you've got the security of the device itself, whatever it is, whether it's an immobilizer or a lock. It does something that's secure, so it ticks that box because obviously as a hook lock it's going to do its job, you know, and therefore that will prevent possibly drilling into the central locking lock that comes with the van. I think the other one is that it's visible, and therefore sometimes putting security things on there, if you just making it more difficult for somebody to break into that van, unfortunately more it means they're probably going to go to the van down the road where it's a bit easier. And that's okay, because that's what I'm doing. I'm just making it a bit more difficult that actually they'll go elsewhere. So I've got these layers of security in the van. And I think the third one that sometimes gets overlooked, it's how you feel. So Jane and I felt as though we needed to put some extra security. So that means when we are parked up and we want to go for a walk or whatever it is, we're just going to feel that much more assured. And so I think I've now got to that level where I'm now a bit more happier that I've got that extra layer of security. You've all got to decide what your levels are. For us, we needed to put an extra layer on. But I think that those 3 elements of security are quite important. That emotional one is how you feel is great, because that means you'll enjoy the van more. You'll be less tense, and those who know me, I sometimes get a bit tense about things and I worry about things. So if that was a thing that I've now taken away, and it has, now I've had it done, then you should consider that. So those are the 2 jobs that we did. We hope you found that useful. You might divide opinion. You might think you've wasted your money, Stuart, Jane. You should not bother it. It's not worth it. The van won't be used in 5 years' time because of all the fuel. Or you might say, no, that was worthwhile doing. But anyway, let us know. Put it in the comments. If you've enjoyed the video, give us a thumbs up. And if you can, subscribe, because it all helps the channel, and we'll see you in the next video.